Well, welcome
Hi.
back.
Welcome back to Recovering Toxaholic. I am your host, Monarey Martinez, and I'm a recovering toxic person.
Hey, I'm Nikki Bon, and I'm the other host, and I'm fully recovered, not toxic at all anymore.
And today we have a very special guest that we're both very excited about.
One of our
John
faves.
Parr. Yes.
Oh, can you call me JT?
JT.
Oh, JT. Oh, I'm
You don't
sorry.
have to cut that. It's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well,
My name
we
is
can-
John. Thomas
Madonna,
Parr.
diva. No. So tell us that you're not toxic. This is JT Parr.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Do you
Good.
consider yourself a recovering toxic person, or where are you at?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
I think about it a lot, though.
Right.
But I don't know if I'm I've certainly been toxic at times, but
Do people call you toxic?
no, not really, actually. I've been in relationships that were toxic, but I don't think either of us wanted to call it that because
Right.
it felt like we both wanted it to work. So
Right.
if we started labeling it that, then it kind of felt like it would sink it, because then we'd both be like, all right, well, this is toxic. It's not going to work.
Right.
Oh, denial.
But in that one, no, she called me everything. So
Oh.
I'm sure at some point she called me toxic, but it doesn't stick out.
Yeah.
As
Is
something
this
that
your
she-
first love, or who was this?
That was my first love.
Yeah. So how young?
I was 24.
20. Oh, damn.
Okay.
So that's kind of late, right?
I was late bloomer for sure. Yeah.
Why? Were you like awkward in high school, or?
I was a little bit. I was. The way I describe it is because I was a virgin until I was 24.
Wow.
But I had
Whoa. I wish
but-
we had sound effects.
Brian's face. Yeah. We're not calling you like
Jeez.
a loser, but
Yes.
we're just concerned.
Pathetic. No.
It was, and I thought I was like, my biggest fear was dying a virgin,
Oh
and,
my God.
and like no one knowing it, because I didn't tell
Yeah.
anyone.
Did you
And then-
lie when you first had sex? Were you like, I'm not a virgin?
I thought I didn't tell her, but she says I had already confessed it to her.
Oh, good.
Because
Okay.
we would get pretty hammered together. So I think
And you would just
one
be
night I was
crying.
probably drunk and I was like, "Oh, I'm a virgin."
Oh
and
my
then,
God.
but she didn't care.
Did you do it in an Irish accent?
Yeah, I was like, I'm a wee little virgin.
I'm a little virgin.
I'm a wee little virgin, and I'm scared of you.
Why do you think you were like, were you just scared of sex? Were you like religious and like people were like putting things in your head, like guilt, or?
It was maybe like 10% the religious thing, because I did go to Catholic school my whole life. But my parents were kind of libertine. Like, they were very open about sex, and like my house had like a ton of like naked not
Oh,
statues,
I
but,
could
like,
see naked people. I was like,
a
whoa.
lot of nudity too. We all, like, me and my brother and my dad, just walked around in our boxers, like hand in our pants. And my parents thought I started fucking when I was like 14, so I was in like the reverse situation.
That's
where
a lot
Yeah.
of pressure.
my parents were like, "Hey, we know you're fucking. You're wearing condoms, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure." But
Oh, your dad
But,
believed in you.
I think he was also concerned I wasn't fucking, though. But he wouldn't have said that to me. He was sweeter about it. But I would hear it through like other friends' parents. They're like, "Yeah, your dad's worried you're gay or something." like
Oh
that.
my God. So then the answer might be that you just didn't find the right girl, or no one wanted to have sex.
Yeah, probably a combination
Yeah.
of both those.
Were you
things.
ugly? That's what we want to know.
I don't know if I was. There was people who would have had sex with me,
Yeah.
and I'm forever grateful to them. But I
They weren't in your league. They weren't the right number.
I was kind of I think I had intimacy issues. I think the vulnerability kind of scared me, and then I was also, to balance it, I was really popular, and I was
Really?
Yeah, I was like
So
super,
is Nikki
super
Bon. You
popular.
guys can have a popular off.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I was always popular, and I was worried.
Don't say it like that. I was always popular.
Yeah, really
and then look at Brian in the eyes.
Brian knows it, and then I was worried. I was worried if I was bad at fucking,
Yeah.
that it would circulate around the school, and that I would.
You
I
had a
would
big reputation.
I would
knocked
live
down.
in shame.
Yeah.
So,
And this is Orange County. So, like, being popular in Orange County, like, that's a responsibility.
and that's kind of all I had, because I got bad grades and I wasn't good at sports. So I
Yeah.
was like, I can't lose that.
Oh, I pictured you playing lacrosse for sure.
No, I'm a
There's
bad
nothing
runner.
wrong
I don't run
with
very well.
lacrosse.
So I played a
It's
little
It's
football,
a
but I
national
sucked.
Canadian sport.
Yeah,
There's nothing
lacrosse,
wrong.
Good
yeah.
game.
So, but were girls like trying to get in your pants then, because you were so popular? It's a lot.
Once in a while, but no, not
Okay.
with the. Not a lot. No.
Okay.
So, the girl that you first lost your virginity to, how long did you guys date before you guys boned?
A couple months.
Oh, wow.
It was
Welcome
good
to
because
Boys
she always felt pressured into sex by all the guys she dated,
Oh.
and then so she thought I was so cool for not pressuring her. But then at a certain point, she's like, "Wait, why are you not like?"
Yeah,
I'd go
do you
over to
like
her
me?
place, and hey, let's watch like an Ethan Hawke movie or something. And then she'd be like, she thought that meant we were going to watch 10 minutes and have sex.
Oh.
And then I would sit there and watch the whole movie. And it started to make her
Insecure.
a little insecure.
Yeah.
And then we had to have this like, big conversation about all my mishigosh and internal intimacy issues.
Yeah.
And then it was nice. We worked through it.
Yeah, wow, so young.
Interesting.
And
What
then
was the good Ethan Hawke movie? What's the one with him and Angelina Jolie?
Taking Lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, where they have sex on top of like the photos of dead bodies.
Yeah.
No, it
That's
wasn't
my
that
guy.
one. Also Olivia Martinez.
Great
in that one.
Expectations.
No, with
That was a
Gwyneth
good one,
Paltrow.
too. That was a good one. Damn, he got a lot of hot bitches.
Yeah. He
It
was
was
like
probably-
a stud for a while.
It was probably the Julie Delpy one before Sunrise.
Oh, I don't know if I know.
Very
Wait, is that
romantic
like a
movie.
demon one?
No, it's about these two. It's Richard Linklater. These two people meet in Vienna
I was
who
gonna
are
s-
on like different trips through Europe, and they have like a whirlwind romance.
It's
over
the
course of a
softest
day.
Ethan Hawke movie. Like, we're like,
It's the
oh, this
softest
one.
movie.
Before
you're-
Sunrise.
Yeah, exactly. You guys are
Aw,
picking
he's
the
a
hardcore.
romantic.
Yeah, you're needing that.
I think you're a romantic, John.
Yeah, sometimes.
You don't have intimacy issues. You're just a little sweet boy.
That's probably what I'm scared of. Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you think you're scared of that?
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like maybe I don't know. Like you got to be hard in this world, and I don't know if it's good to be.
Well, your dick has to be hard, and that's
Yeah.
what you're working on.
Sure.
Okay, so the 24-year-old, when you were 24, sorry, then that was the toxic
Toxic.
but not toxic relationship.
Yeah, we had a very intense relationship.
Give us the juice. It was intense.
It started off, I was like anxious, and she was kind of avoidant. And then at a certain point, it flipped, and I became the avoidant one.
So
and
it was
she
like
became the
aggressive, aloof, which doesn't.
didn't
go.
mesh.
Yeah.
I learned how to give her space. It started to work, but then we had a lot going on in our heads. We fought a lot. We broke up.
But what kind of fights? Like, were you guys throwing things? Were you guys like, you fucking cunt? Like, were you guys playing mind games? Were you guys hitting each other?
No, we
Monterey
never-
just wants to know if your
Yeah, you want
relationships
the-
were like
yeah,
hers.
you want
yeah,
the red
yeah,
meat.
yeah. I'm like, no,
I'm like,
Monterey.
how different
Were you like
is
me?
mine?
And we're
Yeah.
like, no.
Were
it's-
you crying in the closet and told him to go away and he wouldn't?
How recovered did you claim to be in the
yeah,
beginning?
yeah.
We both cried a lot. At first, I would
did?
cry too much, and she was like, "You have to
Oh.
stop crying." And I remember one time we were fighting, and I was crying, and I was like,
You have to
"She's absolutely right. I have to stop." And then I taught myself to not cry. And then
How did you teach yourself to not cry?
I would just like when I would feel it coming, I would just be like, "All right, brother,
You would be perfect
we
for
got
me.
we got to put up some walls here, dog. We can't follow this feeling all the way."
yeah.
Oh.
And then it just started to be like I'm pretty extroverted and outgoing.
Yeah.
And that started to like freak her out.
Mm.
And so she'd be like, "Don't act like that. Don't do that." I was like, "Dude, I'm having fun." I was like, "It's no big deal."
She was like embarrassed or like always.
She thought everything was like a reflection on her, and it felt to me like she cared too much about what other people
And you
thought.
couldn't be yourself.
And then she was like, and she's a great person. I really care about her. But she'd be like, "I don't care what other people think." But then I was like, "No, you care so much what other
Yeah.
people think." And it's like kind of suffocating to me because I want to just, the things
Be
I'm
free.
doing are fun.
Yeah.
They're not like I remember one time she was getting mad at me because I was trying to do like backflips at the beach.
Oh, sick.
She was like,
man.
Stop
Yeah.
doing backflips. And I was like, I like,
Do you
missed-
hear yourself?
And I was like
Yeah.
on the ground in the sand, and I was like, "Why can't you be more fun?" And then to her, that was like
Or were you doing back tucks or back handsprings?
I was trying to do a back tuck, and then
I could do a back tuck. I don't want to
and no, I never landed it. And then, but I think there's a lot of honor in the attempt. And then she just like, she just would freak out, and then I would go kind of. I would always take the bait and
start fighting.
And then we broke up, got back together like years later when we were like 30.
Damn.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Thought we were like grown up and different, and then it was always really passionate between us. But then after a while, it was just
Toxic.
back to the same thing. And I was
good sex.
we had good sex, but I was more toxic the second time around.
What did you do?
Well, I knew she had like I knew she had that control stuff where she really felt like she needed to control me. And I knew she had a little bit of like jealousy stuff, but it felt a bit overstimulated to me.
Yeah.
Like she wouldn't let me do like normal shit.
Like
and
what?
then like if I was just like talking to a girl, like I remember one time we were playing like a board game, and I had to like move someone's body to get them to like
Yeah.
to get
Was
them
like-
to do the act that the
Right.
people on our team could be
It's like cranium or Pictionary.
It was
Yeah.
cranium, exactly.
Yeah.
Boom. Don't tell me I'm not a psychic, Brian.
You're like in my head.
You just play board games, but you are psychic, but that didn't prove it.
Cranium. It could have been any game. It could have been any game.
Could've
Or
been
it could
charades,
have just been
could've been other
Pinocchio. Yeah, it could have the Pinocchio game.
Connect Four,
We don't
whatever.
know that.
It's not a game.
But I was moving, and I knew she would get mad. But someone was like, JT, you got to move her body, and I knew right when I touched the other girl, she was like, and then the thing that would make me more upset is then we were like driving home, and I was like, oh fuck, man, here it comes. And then she was like, you love touching that girl. And I was like,
my God.
she was like, you just loved it. I was like, dude, I like performed reluctance so hard. Like I was like moving the girl's body, and I was like not looking at her and like.
Did you like kind of love it on the inside a little?
I do think part of me liked pissing her off a little bit.
Like pissing her off,
Cool.
not like touching her.
Yeah, because I knew she was like kind of wrong. So that was the toxic part about me, is that I wasn't mature enough to understand that like just because she's overreacting to these things doesn't mean I should do them to test if she can not overreact. Yeah, so instead of being nice and being like, okay, I won't. I mean, it wasn't going to work anyways, but I could have made it an easier ride if I just didn't. I would, and I still do this sometimes. I'll throw stuff at someone just to see how they react to it. Especially with like jealousy stuff. Like I'll be like, yeah, I was talking to this girl and she just said this kind of crazy thing that was like very flattering to me that would probably make you not feel, and then I'll be like, wait, and then I'll just like watch.
And you don't offer reassurance just to see like how they react, because you're like,
it's a little bit of a power game.
That's a trait that I definitely used to do, and
trying to make people jealous.
Yeah, for sure. That I forgot about. So now I'm reminded.
I used to get jealousy issues like when I was younger, for sure. Like I would have like bad jealousy issues when and I didn't like realize it, but I always felt like justified. But it was always like after a guy lied to me. But he lied to me about something that has nothing to do with like fidelity or whatever. But like once they lied, like my brain was like, no, you don't. Like, oh, you're going to the store to get Oreos, and then I'm like in the middle of the night. But he smoked weed.
Oh, right.
He probably, he probably was really going to the store to buy Oreos, but because he already lied about something, then I'm like, I'm being lied to. And then this was my first boy, and then I just had such bad jealousy issues with him, like for the long, and I was like, but I wish that like he would have picked up on it, like, hey, like are you noticing you have really bad trust issues, you have really bad jealousy issues, but like in my head, I just like constantly felt justified. But then I found out that he was cheating on me.
So it's like, that gut. See, I actually thrived off of being jealous. That's when I liked the guy more. Still might to this day. So that's why I'm in recovery. Yeah. But like my friends, when I dated guys, they would tell me stories to make me jealous because they would like my boyfriend, like the nice guy, and they'd be like, James was hanging out with his friend Sophie. So then I would be like, he was, and then I'd get wet. Like it was what I thought. So do you think that you knew what you were doing?
Sounds like I've been doing the right thing. I'm smart. I knew it.
I knew it. Yeah.
So, I was gonna ask, do you think you were doing it to get her to fight for you and like feel love, or do you just think it was a default of your relationship?
Yeah, I think it was both. Probably the former more, though. I think that's probably it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, just making them feel like it's, like, a scarce thing that they have to, like, protect.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I had because now I'm thinking, I'm like, no, I've had more jealousy issues, too. Like, I think because I'm named after the woman my dad, like, banged behind my mom's back.
Whoa.
Yeah. And my mom didn't find out till I was, like, 2. And so I'm sure
And your dad picked that name?
Yeah, the woman's name is named Monarey, and so he what Brian?
That just rules. It's not going to make your mother hate your name.
Yeah, but that's why I think both my parents hate me. I'm like, 'cause I think the woman dumped my dad, and then he was like in love with her. And then I think my mom is like, fuck this bitch. So I'm like, oh, both of you. But my name is tattooed on my dad's arm, but it's spelled wrong. And I was like, how did my dad spell my name wrong? He's the one who named me. And then my ex-stepmom was like, it's not your name. And I was like, what? And she's like, that's her name. That's the woman's name. That's how she spelled it. And I'm like, whoa. So anyway, so like cheat. And my dad would cheat on every girlfriend. My mom would cheat. And so I didn't realize subconsciously where I'm like, cheating is like a big fucking fear because I've seen it constantly like
so
break
normal.
up. Yeah,
like
so normal. So that I just like, I'll naturally have suspicion. Like, I would hate when I would date a guy and he's like naturally touchy. Like, say someone's like talking with their hands and he's trying to get them to stop talking, so he like touches them to get them to stop talking. Or like guys that are like, sweetie, baby, and I'm like,
like if they called the girl that,
yeah,
and not
yeah.
you, yeah, that's.
But I had to like work through it, and like now I'm just way more conscious of it. But yeah, when I was like younger, and then I would go out of my way to try to make that person jealous, which is stupid. But when I was young, I was like, yeah, I'm just hanging out with Omar. He plays for the LA Galaxy. Whatever. We're just gonna go practice on the field with like David Beckham. Whatever. Anyway, okay, I'll catch you later. And he's like, I know you're trying to make me jealous.
But it seems like we all do that. Like,
Yeah.
how else are you gonna get a reaction out of anybody? Tell them you love them? No, you got to make them jealous.
Yeah.
For the listeners.
Yeah, I wonder how toxic is that? That's what I'm.
It's pretty toxic.
everyone's
Yeah, it's
doing
childish.
It's childish.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
is
I'll hear that a lot. Someone's like, "That was childish," and I'm like,
Oh.
"Is it?"
Like,
Yeah.
do you have
Is it?
examples?
Yeah, but I'm trying to pick the right one.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. We'll give you a second. We don't want you to
But-
feel any regret.
No, I don't know if I have a great one actually, but I just like I've been wondering about two things. Like, is jealousy a good thing? It is, right? You wouldn't want to have a partner who's never jealous. Right?
No,
No,
I think
my boyfriend's never fucking
jealous.
jealous ever.
But it's good.
But it's
You
good
need
now.
that
I
because
didn't
she has
like
so
that
many
for-
guy friends
Yeah.
and comedy and whatever
And
that
out
it's
to
like,
2,
yeah,
making out with guys, and he just doesn't care.
no, she's kidding. I'm like, no, she's kidding. It's a great relationship. Yeah. No, but I dated a guy who never had jealousy. I remember one time I literally was like at a bar where with like a bunch of friends, and literally this guy won't stop talking to me, and he's like this good looking guy, whatever. And I was like, oh, my boyfriend's gonna get pissed, whatever. So I was like, let me make eye contact with him and like show him like, hey, come rescue me or whatever. And so I'm looking at him going like, hey, like come get me, and he just goes, I'm like, no, I'm like asking you to come get me out of this conversation with this guy. And he just goes, hey. And I'm like, no, that means come here. Like, but he never, like, there'd be hot guys, like, flirting me with whatever. And he'd be like, that guy seemed cool. And I'm like,
Oh my God.
what? Like, how are you
Yeah, can
not
he really
protect-"
mean that though?
I think he just trusted me so much, which he should, because
he
I'm
should.
fucking
It's-
crazy loyal. But I'm like, how?
It's safe. I think jealousy, it depends on like the type of person you are. I think that if your partner isn't jealous, it means you guys are in a safe, healthy relationship.
Yeah.
And my jealousy will come out of only certain times where like, man, that's what I'm gonna call my boyfriend.
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
fuck it, his name's Matt. It was in New York, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go hang out with my friend's ex-girlfriend." And I was like, "Well, who is that?" And he's like, "Oh, it's just this girl. She's a dancer." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, what?"
Yeah.
And then he's like, I said, "How old is she?" He goes, "She's 24." And I was like, "Really? You need to go and hang out with your friend's ex-girlfriend who's a fucking dancer in New York, and we have friends there, and that's who you're choosing to hang out with, this little fucking 24-year-old?" And then he was like, "Okay, I won't hang out with her." I was like, "That's right, boy." But like that to me, like that
sounds
made me
good.
jealous.
Yeah, that all sounds right.
like, cause I'm like,
That all
why?
sounds right.
I think you both handled that well. He was trying to see where the line was. You told him where it was, and he respected
Well,
it.
it's because I know that he does seek attention from women, which I don't think is a bad thing, because I think that we're all humans and we have a long distance relationship, our whole relationship. But if they draw the line, like, why
Yeah.
does this girl want to hang out with you? And then when I
Right.
think about the girl's point of view, I'm like, oh, she's a little whore, get the fuck away. So yeah, like there's a bit of jealousy, but with him, he's like, but
Yeah.
it's a safe, healthy relationship. I think when there's too much jealousy, now you're playing mind games with each other.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how do you stop?
It's hard. It's really hard.
And how are you, like, have your relationships since then? Do you like people that play the game a little bit, or where are you at?
I haven't made up my mind on any of this stuff. I'm just figuring it out. I think I'm like seeing someone right now, but the person the last like long for me, I've never dated anyone more than like a year straight.
Mm-hmm.
The last person I dated for like 9 months, who I was like very much into, I couldn't handle it. We basically broke up because I was like, it was too much jealousy basically.
What, on her end or your end or both?
I tried to make her jealous. It was impossible.
Really?
Man,
Yeah,
that'd
she was
break
like a
me.
cyborg.
Wow, what a dope girl.
Yeah,
I'm like,
she was pretty badass.
Yeah.
And then but but she was like making me crazy jealous and just like was
she doing it on purpose or?
I mean, I would say yes. She would say no.
Give us an example.
Okay, like one time we had the biggest fight about this. I should also preface it by saying my big takeaway from that relationship was I was too nice to her.
Yeah.
Okay.
And too like compromising and understanding. And I called her a couple weeks ago because I was kind of struggling with this person I'm seeing, which is just not even struggling, but I just was like some similar stuff was bubbling up, and I called her to kind of just like make peace and move on. And so my big takeaway was I was always too nice. And unprompted, she goes, "You were the meanest boyfriend I ever had."
Really? That's whoa.
Oh my!
What did she think you were mean about?
We need to get
Dude,
her
honestly,
on the podcast.
I think she had just been like getting away with stuff forever, and maybe I was But I mean, I am pretty
like
intense.
You would call her out.
Yeah, I would just call her out. I'd be like, "Are you insane? Like, what are you doing?
What are you intense about?"
Well, okay, so I'll give you the story. And
Can I just get her age, just so I?
She's young. She's like I'm 34, and she's like 25 now, or 26.
Cool.
Also, are you a yeller?
I think with
Yes.
the one I met when I was 24 and lost my virginity, we would yell.
Yeah.
And I remember I would like, I got so used to it, I got like better at it. And I would, after we would have a fight, I would go to my friends afterwards. I'd be like, "Man, I was on fire tonight."
I just killed that.
I
just didn't crack once.
I was like, "Bro, I burned the shit out of her a couple of times."
I was giving examples. I was using big words.
That's toxic.
And I remember one time we were fighting, and I don't think I had popcorn, but I remember like I had something I was throwing in my mouth, and she was like yelling at me, and I was like, "Hey, I grew up like this. I can do this all night." And just to get her to be, and I just saw her sink a little bit, and I was like, "Yeah." I was like, I mean, but the girl I was referencing who made me crazy jealous, she was on like a work Zoom call, and this one dude was just being way too like flagrant about sex stuff. Like there was like, he was talking about like just boning and like, you know,
on a work Zoom.
It was weird. It was weird, and it made me think. I'm like, wait, are you like the person that like everyone feels safe
to talk about sex with?
Saying all this crazy. So my head's kind of getting, and it was during COVID, so like you didn't really get to see people out in the world and see how they interacted. So this was like the closest example I had. And then afterwards, she was like, "Yeah, that guy's weird. He does like bondage, and he always like sends me photos of it or something." And I just went, "I don't want to hear this shit."
Yeah.
And then she was like, "Whoa," and I was like, "Okay." And like I took a walk, came back, and then we started talking about everything and working our way through it. And she's like, "I don't know. Like, what are the boundaries? Like, would it be weird if a guy sent me a dick pic to see if it was okay to send to a girl that he liked?"
No.
And I was like,
she's a bit dumb.
And I was like, but she was really smart. She was like she was like an engineer. Like she was smart. And then I literally, when she said that, I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Yeah.
I was like, "What?" And she was like, "Is that weird?" And I was like, "Yeah."
On everybody's end.
But she's also 25, right? So she hasn't dealt with too much sexual harassment yet. She's learning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
She's in the prime of her sexual harassment.
Yeah. She's it's true. Yeah. But this is the point where you realize, oh, that's sexual harassment before you're like, we're supposed to take it. But you know what? It's 2022, so no excuses.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
But then I when I called her to talk to her about it, I was like, "You were crazy. Like, the dick pic thing was insane." And she was like, "I still don't think that was insane." And I was like, "You know what? Maybe there is a guy out there who's stoked on you getting all those boners."
Sure, there are people out there that it's like, you're like, okay, you think this is okay, and I think this is okay, and those people are for each other.
Yes,
but
yes,
you're like,
exactly.
I think there's a guy out there for that they'll match up on that.
Yeah,
I think that's a hard guy to find, but because what you watched was a man manipulate her to send. You know, this is the same thing that I said about the whore girl dancer. You were watching a man.
This poor innocent girl. She was like, I was a musician too, and he said that he was gonna help me engineer. You're like, no, you're a whore.
No.
So whore means young, right?
Yes.
Just checking.
Whore means young and flirty. So I think what you're seeing is like, you know what that guy's intention is. You know he's not just sending the dick pic to workshop that he's a normal guy. You're
like getting off on it.
Yeah. So it's like, is there really a person for her? Because every man, hopefully, most guys are gonna see what he's doing. It's like,
Yeah. And you just want the woman to stick up for herself and just be like, no, you're not sending me a dick pic.
I guess she liked getting them, and then she was like, she was so funny about it too. She was like, she was like, they need my help. I was like, babe.
What?
I was like, babe, I promise you they'll be all right.
That just shows
like,
you how bad someone needs to be loved.
Yeah.
That you're like, oh, nobody needs you.
No one.
Nobody needs you.
No, she's all right. Yeah, we weren't meant to be together.
No.
And that one was toxic, but in a different way.
How did it end?
I just broke
Killed
up.
her.
Yeah.
I kind of went. I felt like I
Drove
was.
my car into her living room.
Yeah. I shot her right when she said that. This is actually my confession. Yeah.
That's why you're so nervous.
Yeah, to all the guys who were sending those dick pics, I'm sorry you never got a response.
I looked at them and they're okay.
They're all good. So
Yeah.
Used to pride myself as a toxic bitch. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I kind of slipped out during COVID and was just kind of being a fuckboy for a while, which was fine, but
What's a fuckboy to you?
just like trying to date a lot of people and like not
Were you being honest with them?
yeah, but I do think
Then
that
that's not a fuckboy.
yeah, but I think there's a way where you're like verbally honest, but you're not like action honest. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
can tell
So
someone.
the answer is no, you weren't being that honest.
Yeah, you can be like, hey, like this isn't going anywhere serious. Like I'm seeing other people, but then if you're like really physically intimate or spending a lot of time together,
Yeah.
You're sending two different signals.
yeah, and I think people will. The other
hope.
stuff hits harder than the words
Yeah.
detract, and then you kind of get in a situation where I think people feel like a little manipulated. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Well,
And
also I think being someone who loved dating players, we
Nikki
hope
wants
that
to trap the players. That's
yeah,
her whole
I want
thing.
to trap them and take them down. And I think that we hope that when you say that, we're on board and we're like, yeah, that's cool. But then we hope that we are the one that you settle down with.
but if they did settle down with you, do you think you'd still like them?
If they were fun, if they were a fun person, yes.
I think the players that you dated, you genuinely probably didn't really like. Maybe one of them.
They were like fun. No, some of them weren't, but like some of them were like party guys.
Yeah.
Like that we would do like fun, adventurous things together
Right.
and play pranks on people. And I like that kind of like I like a silly Billy.
Yeah.
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 So I think that, but even the girls, maybe they would still like you, but also maybe the more time you spend together, then they started to be like, oh shit, you're actually a really good guy and you cry in the shower and like
You're a really
you're
good guy. You're
vulnerable,
sad.
and you also can do backflips and you'll fight for me. Like you'll
Yeah.
physically fight. So then
You'll
they were
fuck your
like, I
dad
like
up for
you.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll punch my dad for anyone.
Yeah.
Any of you three say the word. I love to be deputized into violence
So
against
hot.
my father.
Yeah.
Yeah.